Hello everyone, welcome to our podcast Trivani. Today I have a special guest. It's none other than Dylan. Dylan, how are you?
I'm good. It's nice to be on the podcast. I've never done anything like this before. It's very exciting.
Uh, I'm glad you are here. So we known each other from last 8 months. Like when there was a vacancy in our flat, that was during COVID time. You were here, and without much thinking, you just accepted that room, and from then onwards, we've been very nice along with Raj in the flat. And during these 8 months, we learned so much together. Um, Whether it may be talking during our dinners together, or when you cook for us, or when Raj cook for us. So it was very good times we had, and especially the talks we had during our kitchen when we are preparing dinner in the kitchen. Those were very very profound. So I would like to talk to you about few things which you are very very interested in. First one being your interest in running and reading. Tell us about your running.
Well, to be honest, I started running at the start of lockdown. So basically, like I used to suffer a lot from kind of depression and sadness and stuff like that. And I used to one of my main problem was that I used to think that everybody hated me. And I used to repeat all the like nasty things people would ever say about me, or like I would meet people and think it was awful. So I discovered that if you run, you have that voice in your head that tells you can't get out of bed, you can't do it, you can't wake up. So I started reading about David Goggins and Ross Esley, the people at the top of the top, people that run 200 miles in the soaring heat, people that swim around the UK, and they talk about their voice in their head, and they say the most awful things to the voice in their head, and they beat it, and they beat it, and they beat it. And I find that the more I beat that voice in my head, the happier I became. And that was the key to running. Like I remember the first time I went long distance running, I looked over at the guy beside me and he said, "We're going to run up that mountain." And I said, "What do you mean?" Like, I'm normally tired hiking up a mountain. I said, "What do you mean?" And the next thing, he starts running up all the people start running up the mountain. And I just started running. I made it to the top and I was like, "Oh my, I just ran up a mountain," and it felt really good. And then, I had beaten the voice in my head 5 times. It kept telling me to quit. Oh, you can't make it up a mountain. You're not fit enough. So made it up the top of the mountain, and then I realized there was these like trails, like little hoppy rocks you have to hop and skip over. And I realized that you have to concentrate and write what's in front of you, because if you don't, if you're running down a mountain, you're just gonna face plant.
Yeah.
My first one, I face planted 4 times, and then I got up and kept running again, and kept running, and went down the mountain, and it kind of put you in a sense of flow state because you have to concentrate on what's in. And I've always found that sometimes you'd have a really hard week, personal stuff, family stuff, work stress, and you can't be stressed when you run that far, because any anger you have, it'll just completely disappear if you run that far and that hard.
That's very very great, because when you told me about David Goggins and Ross Edgley,
Yeah.
when I read about them, I felt like, wow, I can do anything I want. It just, if you can beat that inner voice in you which says, no, you are very tired, or you can just stop it for now. If you can beat that inner voice, I think we can achieve whatever you want in your life. And just first of all, thank you for sharing those two informations with me, and you being a role model for me and living very in the same flat. You know what? Ran a first 5 kilometer run without stopping.
Yeah.
That's a huge achievement for myself.
Yeah.
So this type of small things which we learn. And how often you run, and what's the longest distance you run? And yeah.
To be honest, like I'm only really a beginner runner, but I suppose the furthest I would have run would be like 60 kilometers. But I've made the terrible mistake of signing up for a 130-kilometer running race in May,
Okay.
which is 4,000 meters of elevation, which is about the equivalent of climbing a mountain, running up a mountain 9 times.
Oh.
So I'm presuming it's going to take me around 20 hours to finish it, 20 hours of constant running, and like it's quite scary, to be honest, signing up for something like that.
But yeah, but you have that willpower to achieve it, and you just need a proper nutrition and good
Yeah.
sleep. And I'm very confident that you will do 130 kilometers. And congratulations, and I'm very sure you will achieve your 130-kilometer goal.
One of the scary things about the 130 kilometers is I mentioned David Goggins, but the first time he ran a 100-mile race, he broke loads of bones in his feet.
Wow.
He pooed himself.
Oh.
He pooed himself, and he fainted on the floor, and he got up and started running again. So you learn so much about the human body from doing something like that. You know, if you don't have calcium in your body, you run out of calcium, you poo yourself, you seize up, and you fall over. If you don't have salt in your body, then you start veering side to side. You'll often see it in marathon races, and then you'll collapse. And I've bonked a few times up running up mountains, because every Saturday, you know, we go about 25 kilometers up mountains. We'd run up mountain four or five times, and you learn so much about running out of nutrition and stuff. And I can tell you that the vast majority of the mornings when I get up and I have to run up a mountain, I don't want to get up, but I just say to that voice in my head, like, I call it, I don't say nice things to that voice in my head, and I want to beat it. And I think
you like about India, which is our country. What do you think? What do you say about our country?
I've definitely learned an awful lot about it. It's my favorite food. You know, I couldn't believe 70% of the world's spices come from India.
Yeah.
Irish food is not nice. It's potatoes and meat and vegetables, plain, you know, and then you get this Indian stuff, and you get all these unique flavors that you've never tasted before. And every time you eat it, it's different, and it's definitely my favorite food. And the culture of India, I really, really do enjoy the culture of India. I often was like, how can a monk be so happy? I always thought, well, how can a monk be so happy? He lives in a little hut.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't have a wife, doesn't have... And then I discovered that things like the Dalai Lama would have said, like, always look at the inner child within you and stuff like that, and, you know, getting giddy and excited, and always follow with the inner child, or you know, be the superhero of your own movie. So, like, always follow your dreams and your ambitions. Or he's obsessed with what you call the flow state, but he describes it differently. I always find that monks are so interested in one thing. So if they do a tapestry, they do a piece of work, they do a piece of art, they're writing a book, they spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours going over every single sentence till it's perfect. And they only do what they enjoy. They eat healthy, they live healthy, and just it's fascinated with it.
That's very good. Like I really like few points which you mentioned. The first one being a food, and second one being a spirituality, which people follow in India, which is great. And thanks for mentioning these 2 points. And another important thing which you do and which we talk a lot is reading. Like somewhere I read like an average CEO reads about 52 books per year, but I think you'll beat that, isn't it?
Yeah, I've only been reading the last few years. You know, I'm quite young, but I would read 1 or 2 books a week at least.
Wow.
You know, I always find that I don't like, you know, actually sitting down and reading, so I prefer audiobooks. And I always thought that success isn't always on the macro scale. A lot of people are saying, where are they going to be in 5 years? Where are they going to be in 10 years? That's going to be a great thing. But I often find life's a rocky road, and opportunities and things come up, and you're better focusing on the micro scale. Now,
and is you listen to the books more than reading. And when you are going to work, during cycling, or when you are running, you use that time, and that is like you are getting a workout along with the knowledge. That's a very good combination. Actually, I have a quote from my favorite actor, Will Smith, and this quote summarizes whatever we spoke about now. This is very, very profound quote, very, very interesting quote for me. So he says, the keys to life are running and reading. The keys to life are running and reading. When you are running, there's a little person that talks to you and says, oh, I'm tired. My lungs are about to pop. I'm so hurt. There's no way I can possibly continue. You want to quit. If you learn how to defeat that person when you are running, you will how not to quit when things get hard in your life. See, this kind of summarizes, isn't it?
Yeah.
So now, just in a quick, in a few words, tell me like, now it is raining very much outside, and it's Saturday morning, but you committed to do run of 30 kilometers. How do you get up from the bed?
I struggled to get up out of the bed this morning. I must have told myself that I'm not going to go running 5 times. It's cold. It's miserable. You know. So to be honest, I hate that voice in my head, and I know that the voice in my head is worse than other people's voices in their head. Like it's the worst of the worst voice. When I was younger, I was suicidal. I sadly I was going through a hard time, and
Yeah.
I overdosed on drugs a few times and that kind of thing. So I used to remember walking around school, and I thought everybody in the entire school hated me.
Mm.
I thought my whole family hated me. I wanted to distance myself. I remember hiding in bed and not leaving my bed, and then I went to a therapist, and it's the best thing I ever did. The therapist said, "But what are you doing all day?" And she was like, "Well, what are the people around me like?" And I said, "Well, the people around me are anxious and depressed and sad and miserable." And they said, "Well, what do you do?" "I watch daytime TV. I'm lying around in bed, skipping school,
Mm.
doing bad habits, going out partying, which can be fun, but not the best thing." And then he said, I can't, I won't. It's miserable. I'll never be able to do that. I hate everyone. I hate everything. Everyone's doing wrong to me. I'm terrible, and it's everyone else's fault that I'm feeling miserable. And you know, I've been in a very dark place. I remember a period in my life I didn't feel any emotions, numb. Felt like I was numb. Didn't feel any emotions, and then the therapist got me to say I'm ban me from saying don't, can't, won't, bad words. This is the best thing for best type of. There's a lot of types of therapy, but the best type of therapy statistically for depression is cognitive behavioral therapy. Now, what is cognitive behavioral therapy? It's beating those voices in your head, so saying can, will,
Mm.
I'll be able to, all those kind of things instead of won't. And then you start looking at your behavior, and I said, okay, I'm watching daytime TV all the time, so instead of watching daytime TV, I started reading.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the people that were negative influences in my life, I started distancing myself from them,
Mm-hmm.
and spent more time with positive people in my life. Started running it. This was over a period of a year or two, but I eventually was happy some of the time, and I realized that if I really did change my behavior, I remember I was in a job. My family are very proud of me, like Zurich Insurance and Permanent TSB and top companies, and I remember working in Zurich Insurance and waking up every day and hating it. I hated waking up every day in the morning, hated it. And it was a very good job, good career. Plus, I did a business management degree. I became a qualified financial advisor, retirement planning advisor. I still love that stuff. I love learning how money works and how to be rich and how to be successful that way too. But I woke up every day, and my boss would have loads of paperwork on me, and I've got ADHD, so I have concentration problems, and I remember doing jumping jacks to try and be able to do the paperwork. Hated it every day. I remember ringing my family. My family says, "Dylan, you have a fantastic job. You can't quit a job like that. You make 100,000 a year. You should come home and take over the family insurance business." But I hated it, and I remember packing in the job. Packing in the job was a difficult decision. Starting to work with special needs kids, and I have to say it was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
Best thing I ever did, because I go in there and I love all the kids, love working with them, love helping people. It makes me feel better about myself. I'm skipping and hopping, going to work, and then I come home and I'm happy. I'm running. I'm joining a running club. I'm spending time with people. All of the people I speak to on a daily basis, I really enjoy speaking to. So
Yeah. So
it's very hard to be miserable and things like
yeah, exactly. So basically, the hardship you went through during your childhood, and it must be very hard to break that inner voice for you. But the kind of positive influences which you had around you that made you become a better person. And you mentioned one point there, which is a good segue into my next topic, which is your love to serve people. Like you help people or kids with special needs.
Yeah.
Though you have got a very good opportunity to work for a big insurance company, you choose to serve people. Which what is the thought behind it? And you are one of those rare peoples who likes to help people. more than earning money for yourself? I would like to know the reason behind it. Yeah.
Oh, it's not for selfless reasons. I'm not. It's for selfish reasons. It
Okay.
makes me feel fantastic, I have to say. And I worked in a hotline. You know, and I used to get the worst of worst calls. I spoke to the people, homeless people, drug addicts, you know, depressed people, suicidal people, you know, sexually abused people, prostitutes, you know, people that were really struggling in life. And there's a few stories from it that stick in my head. I remember speaking to a man on the phone, and the man on the phone, he calls me and he said he had a very bad accent. You know, he seemed like he was from a rough area. You know, Scottish accent. I said, "Oh no, I'm gonna have to deal with this." And he told me he was after selling €100,000 worth of cocaine, and I said, "Oh my god." He said, you know, and he said, "Oh, I want to stab people." He's telling me all this anger and resentment, and he'd all this. Clearly, had this built-in anger, and I said, "What age are you?" And he says, "Oh, I'm 12 years old." I said,
Wow.
"What?" I thought he was 25. And I said, "Well, you know, why are you carrying a knife?" And he said, "Well, I've got a lot of, you know, drugs on me. I want to make sure I'm safe, the drugs are safe, all the rest." And then I said, "Well, why are you selling the cocaine?" And he said, "Well, my mum and my dad are heroin addicts, and I'm trying to save up the money for the rehab to help them." And I just, my heart melted, and I never looked at people the same way at all. I used to be quite judgmental, and after I worked in a hotline, I was never judgmental ever again.
Wow. So basically, people's real life stories teaches us a lot. Everybody must be going through something, some hard time in their life. So if we see their story, and will our behaviors towards them will change completely.
Yeah.
And I really like what you said. Like it's not for a selfless reason, but it's a selfish. But that selfish being that makes you happy.
Yeah.
There are very few people that gets happy with less pay and has to do serve for people. You are one of the rare kinds.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate what you do. Yeah.
Well, I do have a fascination with money as well.
Mhm.
I often find, like, why are people poor and why are people rich? Now, I was very lucky enough in some of my childhood to be around some very wealthy people. You know, people that sold businesses 50, 60 million, and you know, 5, 6 million, and I was like, what makes them different? Why are they rich? So I started asking them loads of questions. And I started reading loads of books, you know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Benjamin Graham's books. You know, I did, obviously became a qualified actual advisor, retirement planning advisor, did a business degree, started reading all sorts of books, insurance. Like last week I was running with a man that has 20 finance qualifications, and he's got 20 houses in Dublin or something, and he had loads of houses in London. And I said, what makes them tick? What makes them rich? And is it business? Is it business that makes them rich? Do they open businesses? And then I realized 70% of businesses close in the first year.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, 70% of those close within the next 5 years. And I said, well, can't be that. And is it their job? Is it their education? You know, do they become top executives? Do they keep studying? It could be part of it. But then I realized that they make money work for them. So the amount of people I meet, they're working a job they hate because it pays a lot or pays the bills. So they go in there every day and say, "Oh, at least I'm getting paid 100,000 a year. I'm I don't know, whatever they are, like a senior technology analyst or something, or you know, a broker consultant or something." But they hated it. And then I realized that these people make money work for them. So when they got loads of money, they invested it in things that made them money. So funds, apartment blocks.
Yeah.
Like I was looking, out of the 100 richest people in the world, 50 of them made their money in property. Around 50 of them, something like that. And what did they do? They look around the world and they look, what kind of cities have big expansion plans? What side of cities are populations are going to go up? We'll buy an apartment there. I'll rent it out for 20 years and then I'll sell it. And they start doing this 5 or 6 times. They invest in funds. Pension funds in Ireland anyway are tax free. So why, if you're making 100,000 a year and you put 50%, 50,000 of it into a pension, you don't pay any tax on it. So
okay.
that could make you a lot of money. Plus, you're gonna make extra money, 7-8% interest.
So it's all the decisions that a person takes that makes them rich, of course.
Yeah.
And you are very young. You are 23, 24, and you
Yeah.
already have quite a few master's degrees with you, and you are doing a master's in psychology now. Like, I want to ask one quick question about addiction. Especially nowadays, the youth are more addicted towards mobile phone. What is one thing that you will say to those people to get over that addiction?
Well, you talk about phone addiction. No, that's quite serious. Now, if you look at Facebook, you look at Instagram, you look at Pinterest, whatever social media you want, it runs an algorithm, and the algorithm is very scary. It scares the living daylights out of me, to be honest. So basically, what you click on, what you like, keeps getting rehashed to you.
Yeah.
So it's very dangerous. It's a very dangerous thing. What happens if you don't believe in vaccines? What happens if you believe the earth is flat? What happens if you're a liberal and you only see liberal news, you're a Republican and you only see Republican news, and you keep rehashing the him stuff and you keep believing it and you think it's true information? That's very dangerous. Now, what happens if you're depressed? What happens if you're depressed and you like sad things? You like, I don't know, emo music, dark rap music, you like partying, you like seeing, you have a habit of not liking, but you keep clicking on people that are doing better than you's information all the time, and then you keep getting mad at it. It's no wonder suicide rates are going up, depression levels are sky high amongst young people. There is evidence out there, a lot of evidence, that social media use makes you more miserable.
Wow.
So delete it. Just completely delete social media.
You saying just delete it?
If you want to talk to your friends, have Facebook Messenger.
Okay.
Have WhatsApp.
Yeah.
You don't need to be, scrolling through Facebook feed that's just rehashing the same information. If you want to learn information, books, political reports, the Guardian newspaper, something.
Yeah, that's very interesting. But there's always some kind of a dopamine high that you will get when you see your picture gets loads of likes, and you will get lots of messages in your Messenger or WhatsApp. Like, that might be the crazy thing that drives people to use those social networks a lot. And these dopamine highs are very risky, and so your suggestion is to get over it by deleting the applications.
Yeah, so basically I would call that pleasure.
When
people click and you think and you see it, you're happy for 10 seconds and you've forgotten about it after that. You're not happy. That's pleasure, and you're getting a hit and that's making you like it and tick it more.
Yeah.
And the algorithm's trying to put videos and show you the comments and show you the likes and do whatever it can to get you back on it. It's the same way as a slot machine works in a gambling place.
Wow.
It's the exact same way. So, if you're thinking, well, why don't they just have a slot machine that you never win? Why don't you just put the money in and never win, put the slot machine in and you never win?
Yeah.
Because then they'd make more money. They wouldn't. It's always that chance that you might win. So every time you go on Facebook, Instagram, there might be a chance that you've got some likes. There might be a chance that you've got a comment.
Yeah.
There might be a chance that the girl you like has messaged you back, and you're waiting. I've been there. Like, obviously I'm in a very happy long-term relationship now, but sometimes I remember talking to people or feeling that you'd be waiting on the girl you like to message you, and you'd be staring at your phone and looking at it, and it's very dangerous. Like,
so these type of small dopamine highs will do a long-term bad for you. So we need to see whatever makes you pleasure, stop it. Try to see what gives you happiness in a long term. Yeah, that's a very good message. And
well, one thing that I know about the worst addiction you could probably have: opioids, drug addicts, heroin addicts. Worst of the worst, those kind of people. And the best things they can do is leave their current environment, because
one of my friend used to tell me, like, you are average of 4 people or around you. Try to choose the people around you, then you will become better.
It's very hard to give up drugs if your top 4 friends that you talk to the most often also take drugs. It's very hard to quit drugs if the people walking on your street are all taking drugs. it's very habit. If you're just in a habit, every day you wake up and you take a hit at this part of the room. You
Yeah.
know, it's the same thing with a phone. Every day you wake up and your phone's there and you click it and then you go on Facebook and then you go on Instagram and all your friends are telling you, oh, did you see this new post on Facebook? Did you see this new post? Just delete it. You won't see any of the
Yeah,
posts.
so it's very interesting point, which is choose the friends around you. Then that defines your character. That's
Yeah.
a great thing. Dylan, thank you very much for joining. You know, we spoke about a vast array of topics, starting from our how we met, then your interest towards running, reading, your love to serve people, and our Indian culture, and now about psychology. But I'm gonna end by saying Arsenal beat Manchester United this year, and we had a bet, and I won that. After that, whatever happened for Arsenal, that's a different story. But I still won the bet. Well, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Thanks for having
we'll
me.
have you on your podcast one more time. It's a pleasure having you. I think this is one of the best episodes I've ever recorded because the flow which I'm going through now and the how am I enjoying, I'm learning so much, and thank you so much for that.
No worries. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thanks, Dylan. Talk to you later.